Good evening, Madam Jess. I am Nurfatin binti Abdul Malik. Today I would like to share with you my reflection too. So the question asks us to search from the internet 2 cognitive instruments used by the kindergartens. Analyze and give your inputs in terms of the coverage, comprehensive level of skills assessed, clarity and the suitability of the instruments for the children. And next, we have to download or provide a screenshot of the instruments and submit them in the answer space provided. There are 2 cognitive instruments that I already searched from the internet. Number 1 is Wechsler Preschool and Primary Scale of Intelligence, or WPPSI, and another one is Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales 5th edition, SB5. Let us move to Wechsler Preschool and Primary Scale of Intelligence, WPPSI. So this is David Wechsler. David Wechsler created the WPPSI in 1967 for children aged 2 years, 6 months to 7 years, 7 months. Formerly known as the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, it was developed by Dr. Wechsler. The WPPSI has been amended 3 times since 1989, 2002 and 2003 for the UK version. Wechsler and WPPSI 3, which is Pearson Education, are the most recent revisions. It includes subtests and composite scores for verbal and performance cognitive categories, as well as a composite score for a child's overall intellectual capacity. The Wechsler Preschool and Primary Scale of Intelligence consists of 15 subtests as below. We have block design, information, matrix reasoning, bug search, picture memory, similarities, picture concepts, cancellation, zoo location, object assembly, vocabulary, animal coding, comprehension, receptive vocabulary, and lastly we have picture naming. Suitability of WPPSI for children. The WPPSI can be used in several ways. For example, as an assessment of general intellectual functioning, or as part of an assessment to identify intellectual giftedness, or to identify cognitive delay and also learning difficulties in the children. These are the example of the WPPSI question. We have bug search, cancellation, and also animal coding. Next, we move to Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales 5th edition SB5. So, on your right side is the picture of the Lewis Terman. The Stanford Binet test was developed by psychologist Lewis Terman at Stanford University in 1916. He is a psychologist and he had altered the original Binet-Simon scale into the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scales, or well known as Stanford Binet. The Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale SB5 was released in 2003. These tests are used to evaluate developmental or intellectual deficits in young children. It has verbal and non-verbal subtests that measure 5 weighted criteria. The standard measure of intelligence since 1916, the Stanford Binet documents the cognitive strengths and weaknesses of children, adolescents, and adults. Its 10 subtests assess 5 cognitive factors such as fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative, visual spatial, and also working memory. The Stanford Binet was one of the earliest adaptive tests and launched the present discipline of intelligence testing. It was created in France and refined in America. Following the French government's passage of a law demanding universal education, so Alfred Binet, the psychologist, began creating a system of detecting slow children so they might be placed in special education programs rather than labeled as sick and transferred to asylums. In his case studies, as Binet suggested, might be more detailed and useful, but testing many people would be taking too much time. In SB5, there are 30 subtests. Number 1 is Lee regard. Number 2 is prehension provoked by a tactile stimulus. Prehension provoked by a visual perception, recognition of food, quest of food complicated by a slight mechanical difficulty, execution of simple commands and imitation of simple gestures, verbal knowledge of objects, pictures, naming of designated objects, immediate comparison of two lines of unequal lengths, repetition of three figures, comparison of two weights, synthesis of three words in one sentence, reply to an abstract question, reversal of the hands of a clock, suggestibility, verbal definition of non-objects, repetition of sentences of 15 words, comparison of non-objects from memory, exercise of memory on pictures, drawing and design from memory, immediate repetition of figures, resemblances of several non-objects given from memory, comparison of lengths, 5 words to be placed in order, gap in weights, exercise open rhymes, verbal gaps to be filled, paper cutting, and lastly, definitions of abstract terms. Suitability of SB5. There are many different ideas with regards to the age, but it is commonly accepted that the test can be taken from the age of 2 to adulthood. So these are the example of the question used in the SB5. We have bit memory, we have memory for objects, matrices, abstracts. Next, we have the definition of abstract form. So these are the question. I think that's all from me. Thank you.